Far below the reach of sunlight, deeper than most humans will ever travel, the ocean becomes a world of shadows. Pressure crushes, temperatures drop, and darkness dominates everything. For centuries, sailors whispered stories about a monster that lived here. A creature with impossibly long arms, eyes the size of dinner plates, and tentacles lined with rotating hooks that could tear flesh from bone. They called it the Kraken. For a long time, scientists believed these tales were exaggerations, myths born from fear of the unknown. But then, evidence began to surface. Enormous scars on sperm whales, strange carcasses washing ashore, tentacles longer than a bus. The legend was real. Hidden in the deep ocean lives one of the most mysterious predators on Earth, the giant squid, a creature so elusive that humanity spent centuries studying it almost entirely from dead bodies, fragments, and the stomachs of whales. And for most of that time, scientists thought they understood how it hunted. They believed the giant squid was a slow, drifting ambush predator, a creature that simply floated in the darkness, waiting for prey to wander too close. But recent discoveries suggest something astonishing, something that changes everything we thought we knew. Because the giant squid may not be the passive hunter we imagined. It may actually be one of the most aggressive predators in the deep sea. To understand this mystery, we first have to descend into the giant squid's world. The deep ocean is not empty. It is one of the largest ecosystems on Earth. But food here is scarce. Unlike the surface ocean, sunlight cannot fuel massive blooms of plankton. Instead, animals survive on scattered prey, drifting carcasses, and occasional migrations of fish. In this environment, survival depends on efficiency. Predators cannot waste energy. They must strike quickly, decisively, and rarely. And the giant squid is perfectly designed for this brutal world. Growing up to 13 meters long, it is one of the largest invertebrates ever known. Yet despite its enormous size, its body is soft and delicate. Unlike fish or sharks, it has no bones. Its mantle, the muscular tube that forms most of its body, is essentially a powerful engine. Inside, muscles contract to force water through a siphon. This allows the squid to move using jet propulsion. With a sudden burst of water, it can launch itself forward in an explosive dash. For decades, scientists assumed this movement was only used for escape. But new observations suggest something very different. It may be used for attack. The giant squid's most striking feature is its arms and tentacles. 8 muscular arms surround its mouth. But 2 specialized tentacles extend far beyond them. These tentacles are the squid's primary hunting weapons. Each can stretch nearly twice the length of the squid's body. At the end of each tentacle lies a club-shaped pad lined with powerful suction cups. But these are not ordinary suction cups. Each one contains a ring of sharp, serrated teeth. Some even have rotating hooks. When these hooks grip prey, escape becomes nearly impossible. The squid can lock onto struggling animals with terrifying strength. But for many years, scientists believed these weapons were used only in slow ambush attacks. The theory seemed logical. After all, giant squid live in deep water where movement is difficult and energy is precious. Why chase prey when you can simply wait? But nature rarely follows human assumptions. One of the most important clues came not from the squid itself, but from its greatest enemy, the sperm whale. Sperm whales are among the few animals powerful enough to hunt giant squid. They dive more than 1,000 meters into the dark ocean in search of them. When whales surface, their skin often tells a violent story. Across their heads and bodies are deep circular scars, marks left by the squid's suction cups and hooks. Some scars are enormous, larger than a human hand. For decades, scientists interpreted these marks as defensive wounds. They believed giant squid were simply fighting for survival when attacked. But something about the scars didn't make sense. Many appeared in places where a squid defending itself shouldn't easily reach. Some even suggested the squid struck first. This raised a disturbing possibility. What if the squid wasn't just defending itself? What if it was attacking? For most of history, studying giant squid in the wild seemed impossible. They live in depths where sunlight never reaches. cameras struggle to function. Submersibles create noise and light that scare animals away. And giant squid are notoriously elusive. Despite their massive size, they seem almost ghost-like. For decades, scientists searched and found nothing. Then, in 2004, something extraordinary happened. A team of researchers deployed a deep-sea camera system designed to remain quiet and unobtrusive. Attached to the camera was bait. Hours passed in darkness. Then suddenly, something appeared. A long tentacle reached into the frame. The first ever photograph of a giant squid hunting in the wild had been captured. But what shocked scientists most was the squid's behavior. It didn't drift slowly toward the bait. It lunged. The tentacle shot forward with incredible speed. The attack was sudden and aggressive, more like a strike than an ambush. And it suggested that the giant squid might be far more active than anyone expected. But the deeper scientists looked, the stranger the story became. The giant squid possesses the largest eyes in the entire animal kingdom. Each eye can grow more than 27 centimeters wide. That's roughly the size of a soccer ball. Such massive eyes require enormous energy to maintain. Evolution rarely creates something so costly without a powerful reason. Originally, scientists believed these giant eyes were designed simply to detect faint light in the deep sea. But new research revealed another possibility. These eyes may actually be designed to detect something very specific: the faint bioluminescent glow created when large predators move through the water. In other words, the squid may be watching for whales, not just to escape them, but to anticipate them. This raises an intriguing question. If the giant squid is capable of explosive attacks, equipped with massive eyes, and armed with powerful tentacles, what exactly is it hunting? The deep ocean contains many animals large enough to challenge such a predator. Deep-sea fish, other squids, even creatures migrating from the surface every night. One likely target is the Humboldt squid, a powerful and aggressive species in its own right. These squid travel in massive hunting packs. Yet even they may fall victim to the larger giant squid. Another possibility is deep-sea fish like the grenadier. These fish patrol the dark seabed, searching for food. A sudden strike from above could capture them before they even realize danger is near. But unlike sharks or whales, the giant squid leaves almost no evidence behind. Its hunts occur in darkness and disappear without a trace. Yet there is another piece of the puzzle hidden within the squid's anatomy. At the center of its arms lies a terrifying mouth. The squid's beak. It resembles the beak of a parrot, but far more powerful. Made from dense chitin, it is one of the hardest biological materials in the ocean. This beak can slice through flesh, bone, and shell with ease. Once prey is captured, the squid pulls it toward the beak. There, sharp edges tear it into manageable pieces. But the beak alone doesn't explain the squid's hunting method. Because unlike many predators, giant squid don't appear to simply grab prey and eat it immediately. Instead, evidence suggests they may restrain prey first, holding it in their arms while it weakens, almost like a deep-sea grappling match. This strategy would make sense in a world where prey is scarce and energy must be conserved. But it also hints at a level of strength and control that scientists are only beginning to understand. And perhaps the most fascinating mystery of all is how little we actually know. Despite being one of the largest predators on Earth, humans have only observed giant squid alive in their natural habitat a handful of times. For centuries, these animals existed only as legends. Now we know they are real, but their true behavior remains largely hidden in darkness. And the deeper scientists investigate, the more it seems that our original assumptions were wrong. Because the giant squid may not simply be a drifting ambush hunter. It may be something far more formidable. A fast, intelligent predator perfectly adapted to one of the harshest environments on Earth. But the biggest surprise may still be waiting in the depths. Because new deep-sea footage and emerging research are beginning to reveal a hunting strategy no one expected. And it may completely rewrite the story of the giant squid. For centuries, the giant squid remained one of the ocean's greatest mysteries. A creature too large to ignore, yet too elusive to truly understand. Even today, Most of what we know about this deep-sea predator comes from fragments. Tentacles found drifting at the surface, remains pulled from fishing nets, and partially digested pieces discovered inside the stomachs of whales. But in the last 2 decades, something remarkable has happened. Technology has finally begun to follow the giant squid into its own world. Deep-sea robotic cameras, silent drifting observatories, and ultra-sensitive light systems have allowed scientists to glimpse behaviors that were once completely hidden. And what they are seeing is forcing researchers to rethink almost everything about how giant squids actually hunt. Because instead of drifting slowly through darkness, the giant squid appears to behave more like a deep-sea missile. One of the most revealing discoveries comes from studying how squid move through water. Unlike fish, which rely on continuous swimming, squids use bursts of propulsion. Inside the mantle, powerful circular muscles contract suddenly. Water is forced through a narrow siphon, launching the squid forward in a rapid jet. This type of movement is incredibly fast, but it comes at a cost. Jet propulsion burns enormous amounts of energy, which is why many squid species use it only when escaping predators. Yet in the giant squid, the mantle muscles are exceptionally large. And this suggests something unusual. They may be built not just for escape, but for sudden attacks. Imagine a predator hidden in darkness hundreds of meters below the surface. Its massive eyes scanning the water for movement. Then suddenly, something drifts into range. In a fraction of a second, the mantle contracts. A powerful jet of water fires through the siphon, and the squid launches itself forward with explosive speed. The attack is not slow. It is a rapid, violent ambush. But the most dramatic moment comes next. Because at the end of this jet-powered charge, the squid unleashes its most extraordinary weapons. The tentacles. Unlike the 8 arms that surround the mouth, the 2 tentacles function almost like spring-loaded harpoons. Inside them are specialized muscle fibers capable of extending the tentacle clubs at incredible speed. In some squid species, this strike happens faster than the human eye can follow. The tentacle clubs shoot outward, doubling their length in an instant. When they make contact, dozens of toothed suction cups clamp down simultaneously. Each cup grips the prey like a tiny circular trap. Once contact is made, the tentacles retract just as quickly, pulling the captured animal toward the squid's arms. Then the 8 arms take over. They wrap tightly around the struggling prey, and the squid's powerful beak begins its work. This entire sequence may happen in seconds. A sudden jet forward, a lightning-fast tentacle strike, and a crushing grip from 8 muscular arms. In the silent darkness of the deep ocean, the victim rarely has time to react. But giant squids may not hunt blindly. Their enormous eyes give them one of the most advanced visual systems in the deep sea. In the darkness below 600 meters, sunlight disappears completely. Yet the ocean is not entirely black. Many deep-sea animals produce their own light. Tiny flashes of blue or green called bioluminescence. Fish use it to communicate. Squid use it to confuse predators. Some species use it as bait. But giant squids appear to use light differently. Their huge eyes are capable of detecting extremely faint glows from very far away. Recent studies suggest these eyes are particularly sensitive to large moving objects. Because when something massive moves through the deep ocean, it disturbs the tiny glowing plankton that float everywhere in the water. Those plankton light up when touched, creating a glowing cloud around the moving animal. A giant squid's enormous eyes may allow it to detect these disturbances from tens of meters away. In other words, the squid may not be searching for individual fish. It may be detecting the glowing footprints of animals moving through the dark. This ability would give the giant squid a powerful hunting advantage. Imagine a school of deep-sea fish drifting quietly through the darkness. They cannot see the predator hiding nearby, but their movement leaves behind a faint shimmering trail of disturbed plankton. To human eyes, it would be invisible, but to the giant squid's enormous eyes, it may appear like a glowing target. And once the squid locks onto that movement, the attack begins. Jet propulsion launches the body forward. Tentacles fire outward, and the prey is captured before it can escape. This strategy could allow giant squids to hunt efficiently even in near-total darkness. But perhaps the most fascinating evidence for the squid's hunting behavior comes from an unlikely source. Whales again. When scientists study the stomach contents of sperm whales, they often find thousands of squid beaks. But the types of squid vary dramatically. Some are small, others are enormous, and sometimes the beaks belong to giant squid. Yet something strange appears when scientists analyze the sizes of these beaks. Many belong to young giant squids, not fully grown adults, which suggests something important. Adult giant squids may actually become too dangerous even for sperm whales to hunt regularly. The scars on whales support this idea. Many whales bear the circular wounds of intense battles with giant squid. Some scars appear decades old, evidence that these deep-sea duels can be violent and sometimes deadly. It is possible that giant squid do not simply try to escape whales. They may actively fight back, their tentacles wrapping around the whale's head, hooks digging into thick skin, arms locking in place as the squid struggles to survive. These battles may be among the most dramatic predator encounters anywhere in the ocean. Yet they happen in complete darkness, far below the reach of human observation. And the giant squid is not alone in this hidden world. There is another species that may be even more formidable, the colossal squid. At first glance, the two species appear similar. Both possess long tentacles. Both have enormous eyes. Both live in the deep ocean. But the colossal squid has one terrifying advantage. Its tentacle hooks are not just serrated rings. They are massive rotating hooks, some larger than human fingers. These hooks can swivel like grappling claws, making escape even more difficult. If giant squids are ambush predators of the deep, colossal squids may be even more powerful hunters. And yet, despite their size and strength, we know almost nothing about how these animals interact. Do they compete? Do they avoid each other? Could they even fight? The deep sea keeps its secrets well. But giant squids themselves have an even deeper mystery: their life cycle. For such a large and famous animal, scientists still struggle to answer basic questions. Where do giant squids reproduce? How long do they live? How fast do they grow? Evidence suggests that giant squids grow astonishingly quickly. Some estimates suggest they may reach enormous sizes in just a few years, which means their lives could be surprisingly short. A massive predator that appears suddenly grows rapidly, hunts in darkness, and disappears again. This rapid growth would require an enormous amount of food, which further supports the idea that giant squids must be active hunters, not passive drifters. They simply couldn't reach such size by waiting for prey to float by. They need to hunt, and hunt successfully. Even with all these discoveries, giant squids remain one of the least observed large animals on Earth. Only a handful of confirmed live encounters have ever been recorded. Compared to thousands of hours of footage of whales, sharks, or dolphins, the giant squid remains almost invisible. But every new expedition reveals something unexpected. Sometimes it is a new image, sometimes a fragment of tentacle, sometimes a strange scar on a whale. Piece by piece, the story is slowly coming together, and the picture that emerges is far more dramatic than anyone imagined. The giant squid is not just a mythological monster, nor is it a slow-drifting scavenger. It is a highly specialized predator built for speed, precision, and surprise. A hunter perfectly adapted to the silent darkness of the deep ocean. And perhaps the most remarkable thing of all is that we have probably only seen the beginning. Because somewhere in the vast unexplored depths of our planet's oceans, giant squids are still hunting, invisible, silent, and far more sophisticated than we ever believed.